Oh, are we live? Oh, where does sound go?
Great start. Great start here. Welcome to another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. The intro didn't play on my side, but what else is new? Welcome. I am Bodkins, and of course, I'm always joined by my brother from another mother, Wit. Wit, what is up, my man? Welcome to episode 2 of Headkicks and Haymakers. A little late start, but nonetheless, we're live and ready. Wit, let's talk. Let's go ahead. Let's jump right into it. Let's start off the I don't know if I want to start off the main or co-main. We'll start off with the main event, UFC 295. My guy gets it done. Alex Pereira knocks out Yuri Prochazka. First, was it an early stoppage to you? Because live, I thought it was early, but then Yuri says, "Hey, I was out."
Man, you and I were texting while this was going on, and I think in the heat of the moment, looking at how the competition seemed to just be heating up, I honestly thought it was a bit of an early stoppage. But then when they got to the replays, man, you got to give it to the ref. It was
Mark Goddard,
Mark Goddard, he pretty much timed it perfectly. You could see Yuri's hands when he's down around Pereira's, waist. His hands go limp because he was getting elbowed repeatedly in the temple, and by maybe the fourth one, his hands kind of fell off, and that's when Mark Goddard stepped right in and ended it. So, in a sense, man, I wanted it to go farther. I wanted it to go longer because it looked like it was just getting heated up. They would just had some really good exchanges between the two, and then all of a sudden, it comes to an end. But hey, man, big shouts out to Yuri Prochazka. Alex Pereira, man, look, who would have knew what, like you said last episode, I think just 8 fights, 2 belts, 2 divisions. Yeah. I mean, man, he's taking the world by storm. And what do you think about the call out at the end of the fight? Of course, because there's already some controversy about who he's going to fight next. We pretty much know what he's going to do, but what he did was call out one of our guys, the style better Israel Adesanya. What do you think about that, man?
Yeah, if 8 fights, not only has he had 8 fights, in those 8 fights, he's beaten 4 champions. He's, you know what I mean? Like he beat Sean Strickland before Sean Strickland was a champion. He's so he beat Jan Blachowicz, who was a champion, Izzy, who was a champion, and then obviously Yuri. So in 8 fights, he's beaten 4 guys who've won, who've seen UFC gold a time. The Izzy call out is interesting. I like it, right? This is a rivalry, man. This is maybe one of the best combat sports rivalries going in the game, and maybe not all time, right? So I do like the fight. I do like the I don't think we'll see that fight. I do like the call out of Izzy, though, because I don't think Izzy moves up to 205. He doesn't want none of that. Alex Pereira power at 205. He already got knocked out by him at 185. Much less at 205. And I'd like to see Izzy continue to sit on the sidelines, get right. I just felt like the last time we saw him, he wasn't the right guy, wasn't the Izzy that we've known and seen, right? It looks like to me it is Jamal Hill, and the man cave's right. He should fight Jamal Hill. Jamal gave up the title. That's the fight that, to me, that should be next for Alex Pereira. And I think Alex wins. Jamal Hill's running his damn mouth to everybody and to anything, but the way Alex the way he chopped down Yuri's legs, that there was no way if he didn't get busted out in the second round, there's no way Yuri was going out 5 rounds because he was on one leg after 1 round.
Listen, man, you brought the one of the biggest momentum swings to the attention of the people watching right now. Let's just talk about the background of Alex Pereira, right? We know he's a kickboxer. You know he does some sambo. Of course, he does Brazilian jiu-jitsu, duh. But he has some vicious leg kicks, bro. And in the game of MMA, if you can't stand on 2 legs, you really don't got one. And Yuri Prochazka's a tough SOB. Don't get me wrong. You saw him constantly shift stances, try to pivot that weight from his left to his right leg, which also kind of, I think, took away from his defense that he was kind of using it in the beginning. But man, when I think right there in that first round, you can see he caught him in the like right below your kneecap.
Yeah,
that's a bone that's not supposed to shift.
His
I
leg
think
was
it was hurt.
his leg was purple after one. You know what I mean? So
Right.
in which I think compromised. Once your legs are compromised, that compromises the rest of the body. And that's I think that's kind of why he went down the way he did because he couldn't stand on 2 feet. What do you think? Who do you think Yuri should fight next? So we know Alex. We do you agree that it's Jamal Hill next for Alex, and then who do you think Yuri should fight next?
I mean, to be real with you, I would, and this is kind of a mix up right now. I would kind of like to see Jamal Hill fight Yuri Prochazka. You know what I'm saying? Because of course, being that he vacated the title, that you would think that he goes right into and fights Pierre. But you know, I want to see something else before because Jamal Hill's had that lull, and was talking about his weight, how he looks. I'm not saying that the guy can't, get.
He got a bigger gut than me. He look like he got a bigger gut than me right now. I mean,
yeah, right. And I'm not saying the guy can't get in fighting shape, but I want to see him do I want to see a tune-up fight. But in a way, I think that would be the doorway to Yuri and Piero too, so to speak. But hey, I'm just an avid fan. I don't know nothing.
Who do you want if it's Jamal Hill, Pierre, who would you like to see Yuri fight next?
If it's Jamal Hill, Pierre,
because I think that's the route the UFC is going to go. I mean,
if there's a couple guys in the division, somebody lower. I mean, we see the what's my guy's name? Saying Poirier's out here still. I mean, of course, could he put on the weight to go up to 205? It's a possibility, but we want to see somebody who's actually a tougher fighter for Pierre. So it's wide open right now, but I think it a sense for Prochazka, it's going to take just a couple fights in between now and then. I don't think it's going to be anything soon, but I can't really say who he should fight first. Like, who you got in mind?
So there's a couple. So in a couple weeks, you got Johnny Walker in Ankalaev 2. He could fight the winner of that or even the loser. I'm okay. Because that's the thing is Yuri doesn't have a lot of fights. Or Rakic, I think in January is Rakic, Jan Blachowicz 2. He could fight the winner, winner or loser of that. One of those guys is going to fight for, kind of be in line for the title. So he could fight a guy who just lost the title. Right. He could fight while he's waiting on the Jamal Hill. And if he beats one of those guys, he's probably right back into the title picture. He probably needs 2 wins at least. But yeah, I think I would like to see him fight the winner of one of those 2 fights.
It's one of those divisions where
the timeline fits, right?
Yeah, the timeline will fit where if they go ahead, like you said, Ankalaev go there, that's an Ankalaev fight in my opinion. But if somehow, they go ahead and happen, they rewind it, they get a chance for Yuri to fight the winner of that one, and then possibly go back and fight Alex Pereira towards the end of the year. Pierre at the end of the year. That seems like a good one. Now, when we're talking about the main, what about the co-main? That's the one you called for your guy, man. Heavyweights out there doing what they do. Finally, we get to see some heavyweight action that doesn't have anything to do with injuries. It wasn't the fight we expected, but it was one that I really was anticipated. I know you were, man. Tom Aspinall goes in there and
gets it done. 60 seconds.
I was like, just not that quick, just that fast. That's what happens.
Well, the whole fight card the whole main card was 18 minutes long. 18 minutes long. I mean, the whole all 5 fights on the main card was a brief. I mean, all of them finishes. No fight got past the second round. Right. They all finished second rounds or less. Those are kind of nice. Those were nice. So you couldn't. A title fight is longer than that, right? Like Almeida laid on Derek Lewis longer than 18 minutes. Then he did. Then we saw fights on Saturday night. Yeah, Tommy Aspinall gets it done. Knocks out. The Russian,
Sergey Pavlovich.
yeah, Sergey Pavlovich. Thanks. He knocks out Pavlovich in 60 seconds, becomes the interim UFC heavyweight champion. I've said it for 2 years. Tommy's going to be a future champ. He says he would like to defend this title. I don't want to see him sit out a year plus waiting on Jones Stipe.
No.
Dana said Jones Stipe still going to happen. Who knows? But if I'm looking at if I'm Jones or Stipe and I watched what Tom Aspinall did to Sergey Pavlovich on Saturday night, I'm just saying I don't want nothing to do with Tom Aspinall. This guy had less than 2 weeks and he knocked out one of the most dangerous fighters there is.
It's really a toss-up with this one because, of course, in the heavyweight division, there are a lot of fighters, but then as soon as you get to that top 3, 4, these are some of the greatest fighters to put on, in the heavyweight division. One of the guys that come to mind offhand, and of course he's lost, but he's always somebody that goes in there and puts on a show. You got to talk about Cyril Gane. It's a possibility Cyril Gane sneaks in there and goes, "Hey, look, there's nobody else to fight him. Why not me?"
Curtis Blades, even though Curtis Blades just got laid out by Sergey, but he was supposed to fight Tom, and he technically has a win over Tom, even though it was an injury.
Right, and that was another one I was going. Curtis Blades, another one, a big guy who can go in there and get it. We might see maybe Tua with the Shoey. That's a possibility. Just to
he's on his last. He's lost his last 3 fights though. Shoey has. So
you got to throw him a bone because once again, when we think about the top of the division, if it's not Jones, if it's not Stipe. We just saw Derek Lewis.
How about a guy that just won a couple weeks? Almeida. I mean,
I was just about to say, we just seen Derek Lewis lose to Almeida. There's a possibility for Almeida to go in there against Tom Aspinall. There's a possibility for Cyril Gane. I mean, those two somehow are interchangeable, I think.
Yeah. I don't think if I'm Cyril Gane, I don't think he has a chance against Tommy Aspinall because we've seen or Almeida, we've seen Cyril Gane. He can't wrestle. Francis Ngannou, who's now ranked number 10 in the world in boxing, out wrestled Cyril Gane and beat him that way. Much less a guy who's well rounded like Tom Aspinall or a guy whose ground game is, in Almeida. Who would you like to see Pavlovich fight? I'd like to see Pavlovich fight Cyril Gane more than I kind of want to see Aspinall.
I mean, once again, you got to think about a couple things. Somebody in there we want to think about, of course, like we said, if you want to throw Blades the other direction to fight Pavlovich, that might be a good.
Well, he just fought him his last fight and got knocked out.
And that's why I'm saying to go back and fight him again.
I don't think they're going to run that back. There's no need to.
That top, man, that top is so cluttered. And if it's not Stipe, it's not Jones, then who? But of course, like we said, pretty much everybody who I'm thinking about right now has taken some really tough L's. And that which includes Cyril Gane, which includes Curtis Blades, and then of course, if you want to say what's my guy's name? Just one that we just talked about.
Almeida.
Almeida would be a easy choice because we just see. We want to go wrestle on wrestle. Okay, well, jiu-jitsu on wrestling.
Yeah, what I would like to see. Tom said he'll take some time in July, till July, and you could do early part of next year. Pavlovich and Gane, and then do Blades and Almeida, wrestler versus wrestler, striker versus striker. And then, whoever looks the best, they can get a shot at Tom Aspinall if it's not going to be Jones and Stipe. There's no way Tom Aspinall, even at 30 in his prime, should be sitting out for a year with that interim title.
Another one that and now I'm looking at the rankings for heavyweight, and I've completely knocked off, didn't really throw this one out there, but somebody who's every once in a while scary. He's got his last win against Tai Tuivasa. Alexander Volkov's up there right now in the top 6. That's another, hey, look, that's not a walk in the park for most people.
You
Then
could match him and Almeida up, or him and Sergey would be a pretty good fight.
Spivak.
Yeah, Spivak just lost to just lost to Surreal God.
Yeah, he just lost to Syria, but once again that everything below 4 in the heavyweight division. Because look at this and it just released. I just got the notification on my phone. So of course we got Aspinall at 1, Jones at 2, Pavlovich at 3, Syria Gone at 4. Somehow, some way, I'm wondering where and how we get Stipe. Stipe is probably not even on there, but
Well, Stipe was number 1
yeah.
or number 2, I think, before Tom won the title on Saturday.
Now, one of the things that I'm curious, and I'm looking at it now because they got this guy's name on there, and he's currently at number 10, but they got him for a promotion which no longer exists at the moment, which is my man Ryan Bader, who was pretty tough when it comes to UFC.
I mean, he's still in Bellator, but Bellator looks to be closing doors. Maybe
that's what I was saying. So, like, where does Ryan Bader go from here? Does do we renew some vows and to get him married back into the UFC? I don't know, but I'm curious as to that one. But for sure, I'm thinking, we said we got Almeida up there. We knocking Tai Tuivasa out of there, but Volkov, Curtis Blades, and Almeida are those 3 names at the top, like that are winners, who are recent winners, who could somehow slide up the ranks and fight the likes of what I'm saying, of maybe not Aspinall, but maybe Pavlovich, and put up a good pay-per-view co-main event towards the beginning of next year, second, third, what they want to call the second quarter.
Yeah, I agree, and really, it seems. I mean, after Pavlovich will be out for a little while, but man, I mean, Tom ate one of his, and this is a guy Pavlovich who's knocked people out, and then you find out that Tom couldn't even train. He was already coming off the 2 weeks. He said his back seized up, so he couldn't even train properly. Mm-hmm. In what little time he did, and he just beat one of the scariest guys in the division. He really wants John Jones. He says that's his dream fight, and we'll see if that fight happens down the road or not. I would rather see Tom fight Stipe and John Jones before I'd rather see John Jones and Stipe. I'm no longer. I don't care about that fight. I don't even think it needs a title. It's 2 old guys.
I was just thinking in my mind that would be the the ride off into the sunset fight. You know what I mean? Whoever wins, they both get to hug, dap each other up. Everybody lays their gloves on the floor. Say, I'm out.
That's it, right?
Yeah. And hey, man, look, we talked about the main, the co-main. You just brought it up. Real big news. Francis Ngannou was ranked 10th by the WBC as far as heavyweights and boxing is concerned. I think that's a really big deal.
It is a huge deal. Yeah, I'm glad he's ranked somewhere in the top. He deserved somewhere in the top 10 there.
I mean, hey man, he put on a really good display in that fight. Technically, if you use the eye test, you could possibly say that he won that fight. But the money line, the money test, the way the money goes, it was no way that they were going to let it. He would have had the clean knockout Fury, like getting up in order for it to go the other way. But I'm interested to see what the WBC does with Francis Ngannou, and top promotions like Top Rank are really putting out some big fighters. And Francis Ngannou ain't no slow heavyweight neither. He's a quick one. So I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, we talked a lot about that last week. Let's jump back into the UFC 295 recap here real fast. Jessica Andrade just absolutely demolished Mackenzie Dern. I don't know what Mackenzie Dern was thinking. I mean, she looked awful. Did not look like the same Dern. And Andrade looked like she is back, like that she has been healthy and back. Big win for here. And how about Benoit Saint Denis? He is now ranked number 11th into the lightweight after he knocks out Matt Friola. How about his call out? He calls out Justin Gaethje. I don't think he's going to get that fight next, but who would you like to see Benoit Saint Denis fight next? Because, man, this guy looks like a guy that's going to be on a tear and can put people's lights out for a while.
I mean, when you think about it, yes, let's go ahead and see if we can get Gaethje in the ring with Benoit Saint Denis. There's a couple ways that I think it did, and it doesn't necessarily even have to be for the BMF title. You know, if of course it would be a really cool fight to make that a pay per view. Everybody knows, when you're talking about the BMF title, is one of those where for some it means nothing, but to the guy wearing it means everything. So I really like the fact that, hey, look, as someone who's progressed in MMA through his last few fights, Santini called out the top dog. Matt Frivola, he looked a little outclassed. You know what I mean? Just a little. He looked just a little outclassed in this one. So if that's the case, where he's working out guys like Frivola, you know what I'm saying? You got to. I don't want to send him directly to the top, but Gaethje's a good one. Why not? Why not? We get the Diamond in there. We get Dustin in there, maybe. To try him out, see if we can try some deeper waters. Once again, this is one of those.
RDA is always down to kind of fight those, up and comers. A guy I like too is so Dan Hooker and
my man Dan Hooker.
Dan Hooker and Bobby Green are set to fight in a few weeks. He could get that would be a fun one. Dan Hooker versus Saint Denis if Dan Hooker wins.
And Dan Hooker is definitely a contender. Every time he gets
Dan Hooker's that perfect gatekeeper, man. Like he's just that top 5 type gatekeeper. So why not him? Or why not Gamrot? You know what I mean? If you Saint Denis and Gamrot, that would be a good one. Gamrot doesn't have anything lined up right now either.
Nah, and Gamrot in his past few fights is one of those ones where it gets interesting. Like when you're talking third, fourth round, really the third round, of course. But I'm really wanting to see where Saint Denis take or where they sign him up in the next few promotions.
I'd like the Dan Hooker fight. That would be a fun fight.
Yeah, Dan, of course. Just like you said, a great word for Dan Hooker is gatekeeper. Yeah. I mean, whether you beat him or you lose to him, you're in for a fight, and it's not just going to be an easy bout. So I like the idea of Dan Hooker, and let's see what Dana White has up his sleeve, because of course Dana White's always got some tricks somewhere in there, especially when it comes to the beginning of the year. That second quarter, because they got those first 3 or 4 already set up. But I like what's going on now. Really, really scary idea. Who could Saint Denis fight outside of Gaethje? And in your opinion,
like I said, I like the Dan Hooker fight. Like, let's give him.
If Dan Hooker, I meant to say Dan Hooker.
Outside of Dan Hooker, yeah. Gamrot. If you're gonna move him up quickly, Gamrot kind of makes sense. I think Gaethje wants to wait for the title. It sounds like that's what he's kind of waiting for. Maybe DP. Who's DP supposed to fight? You know what I mean? Looks like we're getting Beneil and Sarukian in a couple weeks. So maybe he gets the loser of that fight. Saint Denis can get that loser of that fight, or maybe the winner. I'm not too sure. So I do think to me, I'm sold on the Dan Hooker fight. That sounds like a fun fight to me.
Yeah, Dan. I'm with the Dan Hooker with you on that one, man. Most definitely. Well, we got a couple of big fights coming up in the next few weeks, and these cards are definitely going to square off what's going to happen in February, March, and April coming into 2024 for sure.
Yeah, let's move into this Saturday. I just want to ask you, so the main event, and so UFC is back at the glorious Apex. I fucking hate them Apex, but it is what it is. And then we got Bellator 301 this Friday. I'm just going to ask you which, you don't have to make some picks if you don't want to, but which fights intrigue you the most? We got Brendan Allen and Paul Craig. The main event. Paul Craig looks really good at middleweight, and this is his second fight at middleweight. And Brendan Allen has been putting on a show. And then that's for the UFC. And then let me get to the Bellator card here. I'm going to have to search it up.
So yeah, we're looking at a couple things, man. So this should jump out there. So of course, Brendan Allen with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, his fighting style. Somebody I got to watch. He got the Muniz win, the Jocko win. I mean, and the Silva win in his last three.
Yeah,
And all by submission. This is somebody that's something that you want to watch out for. Definitely when you're on the ground. Now, when we're talking about Paul Craig is a big Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy as well, but he's been knocking guys out. He got Muniz back in June, I believe. Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, I was right. So we got Andre Muniz back in June with the TKO. And before that, he lost to. So this is a who knows where it goes fight, but somehow, some way, when you're dealing with two guys doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I'm looking for that ground and pound to come into play.
it'll
And
start on the feet, but it'll go to the ground.
it'll definitely end up on the ground. And don't let your elbow slip in front of Brendan Allen, because those submissions come out of nowhere in the last two fights.
And nobody's better on their back than Paul Craig. It's an intriguing fight. In the Bellator 301, you got Sergio Pettis versus Patchy Mix for the bantamweight championship, and that's their main event pretty much for UFC 301. Which main event are you most intrigued to watch?
I'm definitely right. I'm definitely going to have to say I'm intrigued to see what happens with the Bellator card, because of course, when promotions are going out, you want that money, you want that blast bonus check. Like, who puts their name on the dotted line and then possibly starts themselves on the pathway either back to, like Sergio, the UFC, or to the UFC for the first time.
Yeah, or it doesn't have to be the UFC. They could just stay with Bellator if PFL buys them out, and who knows what happens. You come into.
I was hearing some whispers about PFL, because PFL, although it's not one of the main promotions that we discussed, and I said we were going to get into it. PFL's been putting on some really, really good fights. I've been catching them, post credits and everything. Just looking at a few things, and I got to get up on my PFL game for sure.
Yeah, I'm interested in the Patchy Nix fight. I'm also interested in the Paul Craig, Brandon Allen. I'm leaning towards Brendan Allen on that fight. Mm-hmm. So that's who I'm going to ride with, Brendan Allen, on Saturday night in the main event.
Got you, man. I'm definitely with you on that one. It's some other good ones, man. Let's see. I'm looking at it right now. They got my man Nate Aguirre. What is it? Aguirre, right? And Peyton Talbot. I kind of like that one. It's always a really funny fight when you're looking at those bantamweights. Those guys are always scrappy. That division is full of some real monsters, some real small monsters. And when I'm talking about right now, looking backwards on it, Talbot, I remember. Like I thought. In August, took out Cortez Jr. That was by unanimous decision. You know what I'm saying? And when you're thinking about that freestyle wrestling, it's gonna be one of his biggest tools. I've seen him use it before, but somehow, some way, it's not about knocking the guy down. It's about getting him on his back and scoring points. And Talbot is basically the one for that one. I'm also interested in seeing that fight on the card, a little bit under that. But hey, it's slated to be one of the better ones. Not the big names, but as far as action and competition, this is one that I want to keep my eye on for sure.
Yeah, it's a little interesting, nice little UFC. Even though it's at the Apex, I hate it. They need to
they partying at the Apex when it's all over, man.
Dang, I hate
Vegas, baby.
Wait, you got any final thoughts before we get out of here this evening?
Well, for now, like, once again, we got to find some more news or what we're gonna start calling the unorthodox stance here on Head Kicks and Haymakers. I'm looking for anything. You're in the comment section. You're watching right now. Anything out of the ordinary. I'm talking about bare knuckle fights. I'm talking about some of those backyard fights. Like, put something down here that I can check out, that I need to see, that maybe we're not discussing. I'm definitely interested in seeing what catches your eye as a viewer. And I'm definitely going to be, looking across the wide world of, sports fighting competition and trying to bring some information to you all about that. But hey, man, phone booth fights, slap fights, bare knuckle fights,
What was that one you
Sambo.
sent me? You sent me some crazy ass one where they was fighting on a damn
Yeah. So they were fighting on the trailer. That was in Tennessee. That's some backyard stuff. I was like, but hey, it's safe. Hey, you get knocked off, you fall in the lake. You don't
fall
get
right into the lake.
Yeah, right. So hopefully you don't drown. But hey, we're gonna bring you more of that this coming show next week. We're gonna go ahead and of course recap everything from over the weekend. More Bellator, more head kicks, more haymakers. Shout out to Boxing for putting us on for this one, man.
Yeah, we'll be back a little quick, shorter show tonight because we started late, but hey, nonetheless, Whit, I appreciate you. We will be back. We still good with next week, even though it's the day before Thanksgiving?
Yeah. If not, I'm gonna do it in the car while I'm driving. One of the two.
All right. Hey, we'll figure something out. We'll still give you guys a show, even if it's short show or not. We'll keep the party rolling on Head Kicks and Haymakers. We'll be back next week at about 8:00 Eastern, 7:00 Central. Be a friend, tell a friend, folks. It's been another great episode of Head Kicks and Haymakers. I'm gonna hit that outro. Y'all, we'll see you then.
Peace. Heck yeah, bro. Well, we got
it in stream. Hold on.
We're still talking.